really, how worried should we be if the debt ceiling isn't lifted? Hi everyone, my name is Bruce, and I want to make this quick video to talk about a little paper that I recently read from Brookings, how worried should we be if the debt ceiling isn't lifted? And of course, we've heard time and time again about what the debt ceiling is. The US is approximately $31 trillion in debt. That's a combination of debt to public people and intragovernmental debt. So just a ton of debt. I mean, $31 trillion, it's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to get into this article because it's that time of year again, or I guess it happens every few years, where the government is in this huge panic about, oh, are we gonna raise the debt ceiling? So I wanted to get into this article right away. I hope you're doing well. I hope you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more of this quality content, and let's launch into it. Once again, the debt ceiling is in the news, and this was updated on April 24th, 2023, so just a few weeks ago. Once again, the debt ceiling is in the news and is a cause for concern. If the debt ceiling binds and the US Treasury does not have the ability to pay its obligations, the negative economic effects would quickly mount and risk triggering a deep recession. The debt limits caps the total amount of allowable outstanding US federal debt. The US hit that limit, $31.4 trillion on January 19th, 2023. But the Department of the Treasury has been undertaking a set of extraordinary measures so that the debt limit does not yet bind. Now, I wanted to show you something really crazy. Have you ever heard of the website called usdebtclock.com? This is insane to look at. This is a really cool website. So we can see right here, the US national debt is just ticking up ever so slowly. What is that? What is that? Probably about $1 million every minute. It's crazy to think about it like that. Debt per citizen, $94,000. Debt per taxpayer, $250,000. So yeah, we can see a ton of numbers. What is their federal tax revenue? Their federal tax revenue is only $13,000 per citizen, essentially. Debt per citizen, local debt, $7,000. We can just skip around. Yeah, U.S. population, 334 million, million. So there's just a ton of different stats that we can see in here. You know, Social Security liability, Medicare, U.S. unfunded liabilities. Liability per citizen is $559. Really insane. I love looking at this website. So anyway, just pop on here and check it out. Let's continue with the article. If the debt ceiling binds and the U.S. Treasury does not have the ability to pay its obligations, the negative economic effects would quickly mount and risk triggering a deep recession. Just to read that again. The economic effects of such an unprecedented event would surely be negative. However, there's an enormous amount of uncertainty surrounding the damage the U.S. economy will incur if the U.S. government is unable to pay all of its bills. Now, to preface this, I'm reading this article, and I feel like I've been reading these types of articles for 10 years now, okay? Ever since I was like a little kid, I was like, oh, what's going on with the U.S. debt? Back 10 years ago, the debt was probably more like 20 trillion. But anyway, we read this all the time. What happens if the U.S. defaults on its debt and they don't raise the debt ceiling? They always do. They've raised it, more than 50 times since the debt ceiling was created in 1917 to fund World War I. Before then, basically, Congress had to, on a per spending basis, say yes, stamp of approval. Yes, you can spend this money. But ever since they've started like a debt ceiling. Essentially, the gist is, they have unwarranted, permission to spend money up into that limit, and then they end up overspending the government, and creating this whole fiasco. So we always read these articles about, are they going to raise the debt ceiling again? In my opinion, yes, of course they're going to raise the debt ceiling again. It's all just a ton of fear and uncertainty about something that really isn't uncertain. Of course they're going to raise it again and push the can down the road. But anyway, let's not get too carried away. Let's continue. How will the U.S. Treasury operate when the debt limit binds? Well, let's just talk about what would happen if they don't raise the debt ceiling for some reason. One cannot predict how Treasury will operate when the debt limit binds, given that this would be unprecedented, meaning it's never happened before. They did have a contingency plan in place in 2011, though, when the country faced a similar situation. And it seems likely that the Treasury would follow the contours of that plan if the debt limit were to bind this year. Under the 2011 plan, there would be no default on Treasury securities. Tips. Treasury would continue to pay interest on those Treasury securities as it comes due. And as securities mature, Treasury would pay the principal by auctioning new securities for the same amount. Auction process, Treasury would delay payments for all other obligations until it had enough cash to pay a full day's obligations. Let's skip ahead. Federal employees would likely continue working during a debt limit impasse, in contrast to government shutdowns that occur when Congress hasn't enacted appropriations bills. We see this sometimes when they have a government shutdown and all federal employees are not working anymore because they can't come to an agreement on the policy. That's because federal agencies would still have legal authority to obligate funds. The national parks and government agencies would likely remain open, but federal workers' paychecks would be delayed. So they would continue working. It's just that they wouldn't get paid. Okay, that's cool. So Treasury may have the legal authority to mint and issue a collectible $1 trillion platinum coin and deposit it at the Federal Reserve in exchange for cash to pay the government's bills. This is an interesting concept, printing more money and printing supply of money. However, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has noted that the Fed, reluctant to intervene in a partisan political debate, may not accept the deposit. So let's skip ahead here. How would a binding debt limit affect the economy, which is really what you came to this video for? The economic costs of the debt limit binding, while assuredly negative, are enormously uncertain because it's never happened before. Assuming interest and principal is paid on time, the very short-term effects largely depend on the expectations of financial market participants, businesses, and households. Would the stock market tumble precipitously the first day that a Social Security payment is delayed? Would the U.S. Treasury market, the world's most important, function smoothly? Would there be a run on money market funds that hold treasuries? What actions would the Federal Reserve take to stabilize financial markets and the economy more broadly? If the impasse were to drag on, market conditions would likely worsen with each passing day. And to skip down to the bottom of this article, in conclusion, while greatly uncertain, the effects of allowing the debt limit to bind could be quite severe, even assuming the principal and interest payments continue to be made. If instead Treasury fails to make all principals and interest payments because of political or legal constraints, the consequences would be even more dire. So there are some workarounds the platinum coin, increasing borrowing despite the debt limit, prioritizing payments, etc., etc. The only effective solution is for Congress to increase the debt ceiling without delay, or better yet, abolish it. So everyone, I wanted to just make this quick video and talk a little bit about, give an entry into the conversation about the debt ceiling, right? So let's think of it this way. How do you accumulate debt in the first place? To keep it real simple, right? You have income, expenses, and if your expenses are more than your income, then you have debt. And essentially, you can think of this on a personal means, but then think of that on a governmental means, right? U.S. government does this. The U.S. government takes in income through taxation. The U.S. government has expenses. They pay for programs like Social Security, the military, everything in that budget, and then they have debt. And when they spend more than they've made, that's called a deficit. So each passing year, it seems like the U.S. economy has a deficit, not only just a deficit, but a bigger and bigger deficit. And that just gets piled on to the debt. It's actually said, I think in the last recent time that I read this, 18% of the U.S. budget per year is spent just to pay our debt obligations. That's principal and interest. Isn't that insane? I just thought that was a crazy statistic. But anyway, that's kind of the state of where we are right now. And I know we're entering this conversation of talking about the debt ceiling pretty soon in the next few coming months. we'll be locking down this whole conversation and studying it together and watching how things turn out. So everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Give me a like on that video if you did appreciate this content, and subscribe for more future videos following this circumstance, as many other circumstances in financial news that we find interesting on this channel. And of course, the root of this channel is trading, investing, making money through gaining financial awareness. That's really what I'm about. Yeah, it's cool to read the news, but I want to figure out how I can read the news to better prepare myself to make more money, whether that's through, running a business, or in my case on this channel, investing, trading, swing trading, day trading to make a little bit of profit from knowing the news better than everyone else. So everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you have a good one. Bye.